Mr. Beat and the cynical historian are under attack by Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire. They have engaged in cowardly copyright strike attacks against their channels for them trying to cover a massively misinformation-riddled documentary, quote-unquote, that Matt Walsh made on the topic of slavery. And boy, was it full of misinfo. But because he couldn't stand to have such a thorough takedown of his propaganda exist online, Matt Walsh did the lowest, scummiest thing you can do as a YouTuber and copyright struck in order to silence his critics. No creator should ever do this, regardless of how ridiculous and degenerate the critique is. I do not believe in it, personally, and I've got some of the most just mean, is the best way of putting it, haters on the internet. So if I can take it and not strike people who are going after me or criticizing me, I think anybody can. I think it's a pretty standard ask from people. So that immediately destroyed any shred of credibility that Matt Walsh should ever have in the broader YouTube landscape ever again. Let that be known. But let's see more into this situation.
Hey, Cypher here. Yes, you read that title correctly. I'll try various versions, but all of them are true. Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire have proven themselves cowards, too afraid to face the criticism of two historians, just looking at their atrocious attempt at doing what they brand as real history.
Matt Walsh jump scare, sorry.
So in response, Matt Walsh's company tried to suppress us using YouTube's copyright system. I'll get into the details in that, but first you have to understand where this all came from.
To be clear, by the way, copyright system with YouTube is not a YouTube system. It is a system built by YouTube to allow for an already existing thing to be done through YouTube's ease of access to it. Essentially, you send a legal request, essentially a cease and desist kind of, whenever you issue a copyright strike or takedown on a video, and your response as a creator to that has to be a legal response. And if you offer an appeal, that is considered a legal response. And I do believe you have to include a bunch of personal info because you're starting a sort of legal thing. It's a whole to-do. But if the person who claimed you does not respond to your counterclaim within, I think it's 12 days, it's similar to any legal action. Like there's a window where you have to respond or you're considered to have lost by default. If the person who striked you or took down your video does not issue a counter response to your counterclaim, then you win by default. Your video goes back up and you're good, because at that point, it's out of YouTube's hands. YouTube will allow for the brief initial communications between both parties, but then after that, if you want to either take down the other video because you didn't respond in time or you weren't able to keep it down, or you can't get your video back up and you believe it was falsely taken down, you got to go to court. It's not in YouTube's hands. That's a legal issue of copyright and IP.
Mr. Beat and I reacted to the first episode of Walsh's bigotry live on this channel. We were surprised by how depraved Walsh was, despite knowing full well that he was a racist beforehand.
We found the bigotry.
Yeah, but he definitely wants to downplay American slavery, that's clear. But I think the only one who feels guilt are people like Matt Walsh.
You can't
Truth
ameliorate systemic oppression by denying it.
Folks like Matt Walsh, they feel like everything is a zero-sum game. Everybody is after them. They are the biggest snowflakes. They're the ones who, if you can't just admit that like bad things happened and that they shouldn't happen again, then I don't want to even waste my time with you, dude. Like, all right, rant's over.
He engaged in a whole lot of red herrings, and then resorted to lost cause or hatred, such as
the vast majority of American whites never owned any slaves.
The vast majority of people were not qualified to own slaves.
Wasn't like 40% or something like that of the colonial population slaves, though? So how could you own slaves? How could you be eligible to own slaves if you were black and a slave? How does that work? Of course, most of the population couldn't own slaves. Most of the population were slaves.
Either they were in places where it's already abolished, or they were slaves themselves.
Yeah. Okay, wait, I'm right about that. Because I'm pretty sure, slaves were still considered Americans. Whether indentured servants that were white or black, even if they were considered less so socially, they were still counted as Americans in census data. So that it's a complete misclaim. Slavery was way more common than you might think. That claim of like, oh, well, you had to be pretty wealthy to own a slave. Yeah, but also plenty of people owned slaves. There was a mass slavery. There were huge corporate giga plantations that stretched miles with thousands, tens of thousands of, in some cases, if it was a group of different farms and plantations and ranches, forcing people to work. Armies of people forced to work as slaves. Like, it was done in unbelievable numbers.
Number of 13% is actually much higher if you actually include families, because the male of the household. Yeah,
it goes up to like 35%.
This is one of the most blatant lies in the entire show so far. This bringing this up, which is you commonly see.
Oh, and keep in mind, constitutionally speaking, the prison system is slavery. It's legal slavery, as long as it's for punishment. And you committed a crime and the state is doling it out, slavery is absolutely legal in America. And keep in mind that black people make up the vast majority of our incarcerated population in the United States, and they're legally slaves.
See it on white supremacist pages.
It's misleading at best. But also, the brazenness to include slaves within the total.
Yeah.
Lying that indentured servants were slaves, black Americans were better off as slaves in the antebellum period.
Yeah, I don't actually know the fundamental differences between indentured servant and slave, but I believe there were agreements. Like, you signed off on being an indentured servant. It was an agreement, and you had a contract that ended. So I guess that's fundamentally different. But I guess outside of that, would you not essentially be a slave? I don't think you can just, once you've signed it and you're an indentured servant, I think you can't say no and you can be punished. I could be wrong about that, but I think you're essentially a slave once you're an indentured servant, just on, you agreed to it, and also it's for a short time, and I think you do get paid, or there's some kind of payoff, right? You don't do that just for no reason. There's a reason why you would agree to it.
Hey, they had cabins, isn't that nice?
Airbnbs.
And that the very group oppressing them was responsible for their freedom. He hid it behind some seemingly reasonable history as a distraction from American history.
Yeah, plus if you're a chattel slave, like Jinx Diffusing just said, your children are born into slavery and are considered property of who owns you. And that's a big deal. I don't believe indentured servants, like, if they have a child, suddenly that child is a slave of the person they're indentured to.
Look over there, not here. No. Like a child desperately attempting to distract from the trouble he's in. When he finally got to the country from which he sought to
that's what I thought,
nationalist triumphalism, he of course defaulted to old myths that this country rejected more than half a century ago, because it was all hogwash meant to prop up Jim Crow. That's all they've got. A bunch of lies. That's why they fear historians and consistently villainize us.
For more
and they hate the educational system, and they need Americans to be dumb.
than half a century, anti-American propagandists have waged a demoralization campaign against us.
Already.
It's that us versus them rhetoric.
This is supposed to be the real history of slavery, and he opens with that?
Been force-fed lies designed to beat us into a state of submission and self-loathing. And to
Please understand that editing choice in anything that's trying to educate you matters, and you should consider why it's being done. Is it being done simply for entertainment factor to keep your attention up because of an algorithm that's brutal and needs you to watch a lot of a video for it to get anywhere, get any discovery? That's a factor. Account for that. That's good faith. But also, if it's like doing the super dramatic music and it's telling you everything you've ever been told is a lie, you should really turn on your critical thinking cap in moments like that. When someone's trying to challenge what you've known your whole life to be true, you should be open to new ideas. Make no mistake. You shouldn't just cement yourself to what you already believe. But when you hear some outrageous claim that's very contradictory to what you currently know and what you've been taught and grown up hearing, you should be a little more critical and not just excited to hear some new concept that might make you special and different if you jump onto believing it on a whim.
Hate the figures, mostly white, mostly male, who built America.
It's clear that he's continuing to.
By the way, the reason why mostly white, mostly males built America was because if you weren't mostly white, mostly male, you were mostly a slave. So, yeah, there's kind of a reason for that. Because if you weren't white and male, you couldn't participate in society in any meaningful way. In fact, were there not many black men and women who actually invented things or figured out methods to do things that were just essentially stolen and the credit was taken by their white slave owner master whatevers? I'm sure that happened a shitload. Why would a black man or woman ever be given credit for something they figured out, they discovered, they improved or made more efficient, when there's a white man that owns them that can say that it was my idea? You have to imagine so much credit has been stolen from black Americans when, at a certain point they were property and could be punished for saying, actually, that was my idea.
Send these dog whistles out to his mostly white male audience.
And national heroes. They desecrated their reputations.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
That was a Confederate statue.
It's not our country.
It fooled me. We can't get fooled.
It's our heritage.
Historical topics. We'll give you the facts.
To be fair, Matt Walsh lives in Tennessee, so I guess he considers himself a traitorous rebel.
That the propagandists and idiot school teachers have left out.
Idiot school teachers.
Ooh.
Yikes, dude.
Yeah, so we'll listen to you.
They cannot withstand our scrutiny.
I still think back to that time when I was saying in 2021, I think, that I believe a new Gamergate era is coming, and if I were to guess what it'll be called, I'd guess it would be called Teachergate, because at the time, libs of TikTok and all those other big right-wing accounts were getting really big on Twitter, demonizing and specifically targeting, doxing, and mass harassing teachers that dared to, teach or be pro-gay in the classroom, stuff like that. And I remember thinking the next era, the next Gamergate-style era, which we're in right now, mind you, I remember thinking it might be called Teachergate. And while I was wrong about that, the hating on teachers and trying to destroy education and history has still remained a big part of this era, this Gamergate right-wing populist era, whatever you want to call it. Everyone calls that 2014 to 2016 right-wing fervor Gamergate. It's kind of the name everyone just kind of calls it. So this era, before it even came, when it was starting to show signs of coming, I called it Gamergate 2. That was my name for what's happening now.
Instead of simply ignoring us, Walsh and the Daily Wire took the coward's way out. If you find the criticism to be bad faith or unconstructive, which, yeah, the Daily Wire is incapable of rigorous history.
The book, The Forgotten Slave Trade, historian Simon Webb described.
Oh, this is a known frickin' bad book.
Ooh.
Suck!
Adolf says it isn't fair. And der Führer knows that he's being oppressed.
So we lambasted them accordingly.
This is the real history of slavery.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's false. No way. It's a fake.
Then just ignore us. It's that easy. What a couple historians have to say about your ridiculous version of the past?
Yeah, but he's a propagandist, so he can't ignore the truth. He has to try and discredit it.
Shouldn't hurt your fragile egos this
Chudgate
much.
is good,
I thought
flawed.
you guys were the facts don't care about your feelings people. But alas, they are truly the grifting cowards we've always assumed they were. Way to prove us correct. So in response, Matt Walsh's company tried to suppress us using YouTube's copyright system. First, they tried to claim my revenue and block it with a Content ID claim. I fought that because our criticism is quite obviously fair use. I'm trying to make the public aware of their opposition to history. When this half-assed attempt at censorship failed, they
Keep in mind, any kind of effect, any kind of status effect, you could call it, on your video as a YouTuber, anything negative, whether it be a limited monetization or copyright claiming that shares revenue with the other creator, YouTube does consider that kind of a no-no. Like, you did something wrong, and some system had to be used to right the situation. It affects your trust score as a creator, and particularly limits the reach of that video, and some of your future videos, due to the effect it has on your channel trust score. So, essentially, when the Daily Wire did that, it was an attack on the ability to reach a new audience and to survive as a channel on YouTube in the algorithm. Like, this was a channel assassination attempt, not just an attempt to silence a single instance of criticism.
I issued a takedown notice, which means that my channel now has a copyright strike, forcing YouTube to remove the video and endanger my channel.
Mind you, 2 more of those, if not 3, because I think you get a warning and then 3 strikes and you're out, but the 3rd one is out, so it's technically just... You have 4 strikes anyway. You have 3 chances, and the 4th fuck up, and you're done, is essentially how it works. And I do believe, yeah, they expire after 90 days, but you really don't want to deal with that. Channel is gone. It's scary. Yeah, after 4 strikes, you lose your channel, and there's not much recourse to get it back.
I have submitted a counter notification, and now they must submit proof that they are going to sue me or relinquish the takedown. I'm going to
So I think it's in 12 days. If they don't file a legal response to bring this to court, then he would win by default in like essentially an early judgment, and the video is just brought up by YouTube, back up by YouTube, because it's like, oh, well, you're not taking this to court. We're just going to put the video back up, start the legal process if you want to deal with this video.
Fight their censorship to the bitter end, including in court. The Daily Wire has all the money and institutional backing. I'm just a historian barely scraping by.
It's a slap
That's
suit.
why I'm so grateful for the support of my patrons on Patreon and those who buy merchandise like this on Fourth Wall. With the counter notification submitted, they must sue me to continue their censorship, but it takes months for the appeals to go through. Another creator who has dealt with this kind of thing before told me that the Electronic Frontier Foundation may be interested in helping me. While that's all happening, I'll have a strike on my account for 90 days.
And it affects the channel badly. You do not want to strike on your channel. It's a rough 90 days unless you can get it removed.
This fight has already cost me, but I believe in the cause more than pretty much anything. When I posted about this on socials, by the way, some folks noticed that the company officially issuing the takedown is SVG Entertainment. That's just a digital rights management company. They don't own Walsh's denialist content, from which we were criticizing using clips. They simply work for the Daily Wire so that those schmucks can pretend that this is just business, which it is quite an obvious attempt at suppression.
Jubilee does the same thing, by the way. Like, if I brought up a Jubilee video right now and tried to respond to it, no matter how much I pause, no matter how much I stop to react, or how much I transform it, the stream will be taken down in minutes. Like, I'll have to stop playing any Jubilee content, and then it'll let the stream come back. But then if I try to upload the video, even if it's fully fair use, they will claim, maybe even strike down the video within hours, manually. Jubilee are real fucking assholes. I hate those guys.
Far-right is attacking the very concept of truth itself, especially the history profession as a whole, which develops our understanding of the past. The Daily Wire's cowardice is an example of their larger project. In order to implement their fascist agenda, they have to deny reality. The greatness they constantly claim to be making America become again is a farce, intended to oppress anyone deemed impure. That's why they have to push the lies about a great replacement of immigrants invading the country, that past glories are just ignored, a deep state conspiracy is out to thwart them, that anyone criticizing them has some sort of derangement syndrome, that traditional values are under attack by blue-haired freaks who are merely speaking their minds, and most importantly, the entire educational establishment has indoctrinated the nation. They must insulate themselves from our hard reality with
Keep in mind, there's a reason why so much of their propaganda for so many years was about demonizing colleges and the idea that colleges were factories that would take normal kids from the Midwest and turn them into woke SJW trans Marxist, cultural Marxists. That was the claim that they were making for so long. The goal has always been to demonize and destroy higher education, because there is some truth to the fact that a lot of people, conservative or centrist or apolitical before, go to college, meet a lot of different people, learn a lot, and start to mature a little bit. There's this very important mental development you get in that college age range, that if you're in college and you're exposed to the right people and the right information, it's pretty logical you're going to end up falling into pretty progressive politics. Like, it's just inevitable. You're really developing your empathetic parts of your personality. You're getting socialized more. A lot of your misconceptions and ignorance is being, whittled away by an education. You're meeting people that you've never met anyone like before if you're from somewhere more rural. College changes people. And while the right has been correct in pointing that out for a while, they've been wrong in claiming it's a bad thing and trying to demonize it.
These lies.
Congratulations, graduates. Your days of
Here
indoctrination
it
and
is.
wokeism
Wait,
are
no, here it is. Perfect. Literally, you are getting a perfect example of the things the right says that I just paraphrased right here.
behind you.
I love that clip.
How else could they propagate such bigoted hogwash? Challenge them with the facts and receive a takedown notice and legal threats. The Daily Wire and Matt Walsh despise freedom of speech and our Constitution. They seek to impose a dictatorship in order to protect their hurt-will fifis. Ooh. The American Constitution, our liberty, and our history are obstacles they wish to destroy. Remember how
They're shockingly honest about it, too. That's what's so crazy to me. How shockingly honest they are about the fact that they have to work around the Constitution to achieve their means, but then with the same breath will say that this is about protecting America and what America stands for from the enemy of cultural Marxism, the left, the demon rats, the illegals, whatever you may want to associate or ascribe their scapegoat of the day to. Isn't the Daily Wire falling off anyway? They are, but they still have a ton of money and plenty of resources and manpower to be a real formidable force to deal with if you're just a single guy making YouTube videos on history in your room at home. Like, you don't have the money or resources or the team of, like, on-retainer lawyers ready to handle situations like this, like the Daily Wire does. You know the Daily Wire has, like, 24/7... there's never a point where they can't call up a lawyer and be like, hey, we need you to lock in. I honestly thought about making a joke about lawyers and their lawyers being like relatives of Ben, but I probably should avoid that because anti-Semitism is a big problem right now. Gotta be careful with the humor.
I fell for the college bad propaganda right at the time when I actually had the opportunity to go to college, and thus didn't go to college, and now I regret that.
Damn. Well, thank you for the $10, Aimway, but yeah, like, it's sad how many people will fall for it in the future, too, and are falling for it now, because they've been convinced it's evil. And I think a lot of people will regret not going to college if they do fall for it. Anyway, if you did enjoy this segment, then consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really helps a lot. Go check out the original channel, the original videos linked down in the description. Comment, subscribe, ring the bell icon, like, and, consider joining my fan Discord, following my socials linked down below. But regardless, thank you for watching, and have a good one.